Great. So I just wanted to show the relatively new pgfplotsx-backend to plots. Okay. Yeah. So we had before the pgfplots backend, and so why do we now need a new backend, so to say? So my main motivation was I was writing my thesis and I need some plots, and the old backend didn't implement my features, and then then I was thinking, okay, I have to patch it, and then I was the pgfplots documentation isn't really very big, and so then I saw the pgfplotsx documentation, and it was easier to grasp. And also, it's a bit more consistent in its design. So I think that would make it easier to maintain in the long run. So I ported the code, and also it makes the right promise, namely, if you look at the pgfplots, I mean, they really have some nice features that still are waiting to be grabbed up, but you kind of think, or at the beginning, you get the impression that you can do a bit of stuff without reading the pgfplots manual, whereas the pgfplotsx package, you look at it and it looks so alien to normal Julia code, that you are on the right track. You have to read the manual, right? Okay. I mean, how does it work? Actually, we translate the plot attributes that you get at the back end from the plots front end, so to say, and translate it to what pgfplotsx calls options, which is a wrapper for a dictionary also, so to say. But there you can also hand in plain strings, and then you have the types for the access stuff and so on. And you can always give them an options in the first place, and then some content which is either other types or plain strings. And then at the end, all those strings and types will be converted to a text file, and that will then compile to the PDF. And then if you want another output, then you have a converter like PDF to SVG or something. So you have also the additional binary dependencies. Yeah, the dependencies are quite heavy in this sense, which you will notice if you want to do CI on it. I mean, you have to get a LaTeX distribution, and then you have the binary dependencies for the conversion, and that's not already wrapped in JLL stuff, so you have to do it manually. But if you're already using LaTeX anyway, then you have it on your system. So that's kind of a trade-off here. So what's new is basically not what's new to plots in general, except one feature, but what's new compared to the old pgfplots backend, right? So you can now make 3D contours and also heat maps, which is quite good. I mean, this default opacity here is, I mean, that's kind of an issue right now, but I mean, there are a lot of stuff that's already still open, right? We have 3D scatter plots and stuff. I mean, also surface plots and surface plot legends. That's something that's now special to the pgfplotsx backend, because normally the plots front end doesn't allow legends for surfaces for some reason, but I kind of disabled this for the new backend. Also quiver plots, which were not natively supported, and ribbons. I mean, that's the main point why that wasn't implemented before. Mainly was that we hadn't had UUIDs then, because in the pgfplots library you need names, so, and then you have to somehow get unique names, and that's nowadays pretty easy. So I can do this. And this is the only functionality, so to say, that is really new, that I think no other backend has it right now. That is, you can fill between the functions. I mean, the point is that the pgfplots library already has a fill between library, and so you just have to hook that. So it's quite easy for us. So it still needs to be documented, and then other, like the plots, this interface, so to say, has to be documented, and then other backends would need to implement it as well. Okay. So what's missing? Really, layouting is not working pretty well. I also have this meta issue. Which I made a bit nicer now, where everything that is not working or is still to be done, I keep updating it every once in a while. If you want to chime in, just comment or talk to me. I mean, the problem with layouting is that kind of the pgfplots like the kind of tools you have to do layouting are way different from the plot side. So you can't specify each margin on its own. You just can have like symmetric margins, and then you can shift the plot. And so it's essentially a pen and paper game to get the correct mapping. And I didn't have time to play the game. Additionally, like when you compile it, then you have the boundaries of the page, and in principle that can be set, but it's right now it's not done, so everything is restricted by A4 paper that's in dimension. Okay, and I mean, personally, when I wrote it, I kind of, what I should have done was blindly translate the pgfplots code into the pgfplotsx code, but I wanted to understand it before I translate, so I kind of re-implemented stuff and did stuff different, which I then had to revert when I understood what was going on. So that's more like a personal lesson. And on the other hand, like pgfplots is like a convenience layer. So it's a good idea how GR does it to target PGF directly and not take the pgfplots, because sometimes it gets in your way with the defaults they chosen, or I mean lots of functionality you don't need, or and then you have to find ways around. Yeah, I mean the PGF output of GR looks pretty promising. The only gripe seems that it's, I mean, but I had to look if you can specify your that it looks more like the pgfplots, right? We need a theme then. I guess. Okay, that's basically it. Questions?
Yeah, thanks. How far do you think is it behind pgfplots backend in terms of feature parity? Is there still stuff that it can't do that we can do with the old backend?
I mean, there are some things that turn out to come out differently, which I don't really understand. For example, the size of the annotation text is not the same, but in terms of things you can't do with the new backend that you could do with the old, I don't know of any. Maybe customization of ticks.
Okay.
But I don't know if you could do it in the old one because I rarely use it.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we should probably soon talk about deprecating the old backend, maybe.
I think so. I mean, we maybe made us. We need to make a thorough test then to compare side by side. Yeah.
Regarding layouting, you mentioned that you are fixing an A4 paper size. I was thinking if you use the standalone option from LaTeX, then you wouldn't have this.
Now, the standalone option also sets by default A4, but you can like edit it. I mean, you can also use the geometry of I mean, that's not something you can't change, but currently it's not done.
Okay.